Welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast. My name is Madi and I'm joined by my co-host Ben. It's great to have you join us for this episode.
Yes, hello listeners. Hello Maddie, welcome to episode 181, and what a week it has been for the Arsenal.
With the women's team overcoming the odds to make it through to the semi-finals of the Champions League.
As they defeated Real Madrid at home 3-0 on a night it could have been 6, but then to back it up,
The women's put 4 goals past a Crystal Palace side.
in the Women's Super League. So let's focus on that in part 1.
And then in part 2,
Let's take a look at the men's team who have been out on international duty for their countries.
before they return to action.
But before we get to all our content in this episode, a quick reminder to follow, like, and subscribe so that we can keep growing our Arsenal Kids community.
Because we would love for you to join us on this adventure together.
We would indeed. And Maddie, let's go straight to Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal were unchanged from the side that lined up against Liverpool in the Super League on the weekend, as they faced a Real Madrid in the second leg of their Champions League quarter-final, having lost to them 2-0 at the excuse for a pitch in the first leg of the tie.
And Ben, we had the ball in the opponent's half for the first half of the first half.
We did. We had a very high intensity to our game, and despite some amazing crosses from Chloe Kelly that nobody quite got on the end of, and some other shots that were just wide, we restricted Real Madrid to their first sight of goal only coming in the 41st minute, as a huge double save from Daphne van Domselaar kept us in the tie as the score remained at 0-0.
But despite our dominance, the half ended with us not having a goal.
But, Maddie, it must have been one awesome team talk by Renee Slagers at halftime, and I would have been surprised if she didn't tell the ladies that they needed to get onto the end of Chloe Kelly's delicious deliveries into the box. And the good news is that they duly obliged. On the 46th minute, a cross from Kelly was converted by Alessia Russo to bring us right back into this tie. And Chloe's next cross was then headed in by Mariona Caldente with too much power for the Madrid keeper just 3 minutes later to equalise on aggregate and absolutely raise the roof for the 25-odd thousand strong crowd on the night.
Then just 10 minutes later, the turnaround was complete.
This time it was courtesy of a Katie McCabe free kick that was headed down into a dangerous area by Steph Catley. Russo was on hand to rifle it into the roof of the net, completing what was an unforgettable 14-minute period, turning the tie completely on its head as we took a 3-2 aggregate lead in this two-legged quarterfinal.
But Russo could not quite get her hat-trick in this game.
She couldn't. She did have the ball in the back of the net twice more, but both times was flagged for offside. Van Domselaar was also on hand to make a huge stop in injury time, denying Madrid from getting that equalising goal and ensuring that our Gunners made their way to the semi-final stages of the competition.
And who are going to be facing?
Well, Maddie, we're going to be facing up against Lyon after they defeated an injury-hit Bayern Munich 6-1 on aggregate over the two legs, and the two-legged semi-final against our opposition that is led by our former head coach Joe Montemurro. It's going to start off in London at the Emirates on April 19 before we return to France for the away leg, which kicks off on April 27.
And then the women's were in the Super League action on the weekend.
They were, Maddie. As the women's team, they capped off the month of March with a comfortable 4-0 victory over Crystal Palace in the Women's Super League. Goals from Beth Mead and Alessia Russo were enough to secure the 3 points on this occasion. There were 3 changes to the starting 11 from the previous game, with Jenna Neiswanger making her first league start in the red and white, with Katie McCabe suspended for this game. And after Beth Mead got the first first from yet another wonderful Chloe Kelly cross, and some high pressing then allowed Alessia Russo to score. We went into the halftime break 2 goals up, and then in that second half we completely dominated the game. An own goal assisted by yet another Chloe Kelly delivery, and Mead's cross come shot also went into the net during stoppage time, giving us a 4-goal advantage at the full-time whistle.
And next up for the team, Ben?
Well, Maddie, many of our ladies players, they're now going to be headed out to play for their countries over the 2-week international window, and they will return then to action in what will be the semi-final clash on April 19 that we spoke about earlier against Lyon in the Champions League at the Emirates. If you are able to get along to that game, then I suggest you do get a ticket early to book your place in what will hopefully be another sell-out crowd for the ladies at the Emirates.
Okay, well, let's leave it there for part 1. We'll be right back after this with part number 2. Welcome back. And Ben, the men's team players have not returned from international duty.
They have, Maddie, a bit of a changing over of the guard at Shobarelti Training Centre as the women depart and the men return.
Let's take a look at how some of them fared, shall we?
Let's do that, and we'll start with Martin Odegaard, who provided the assist for the 4th goal of Norway's 5-0 win over Moldova. Jakub Kivior helped his side to hold a clean sheet against Finland as Poland won 1-0, and Thomas Partey helped his Ghana to a 5-0 emphatic victory over Chad. Mikel Merino continued his scoring streak as he came off the bench for Spain against the Netherlands and scored as the game finished 2 goals apiece. The other exciting news is that
our newest England international scored in the first game.
He did. Miles Lewis-Skelley played the full game for England as they faced off in the Nations League against Albania, and he scored on his debut. Rice also got an assist in the game, and the two shared a nice moment as they were interviewed together after the final whistle.
And then drama in the quarterfinals of the Nations League.
Yes, with Spain winning the penalty shootout in their game against the Netherlands, with Mikel Merino again being introduced from the bench before dispatching the first penalty of that shootout. In the other quarterfinal, William Saliba played the full 90 and kept a clean sheet for France as they went on to win 5-4 on penalties, and now both these teams are going to be facing off in the semi-final of the competition.
And then in the other game?
Well, Maddie, Martin Odegaard was in the heart of action as Norway defeated Israel 4-2 in what was a World Cup qualifier. Our captain racked up a hat-trick of assists in what was a sparkling display. Thomas Partey was in goal-scoring form for Ghana, knocking 2 into the net for them as they defeated Madagascar 3-0. And all in all, the international break was pretty okay for the Gunners, except for one thing.
We have another injured left back.
Yes, we do. Calafiore was injured in the first of the international games that he played for in Italy. We don't yet know the extent of the injury, but it appears he might be out for at least a couple of weeks and hopefully not more than that. Fortunately, we have another 4 left backs still to choose from, so we're not too light in this area, but it is disappointing for him to get injured while on international duty again this season.
And finally, Ben, Ethan scored his first start for the under-20.
He did. It took Nwaneri just 10 minutes to score for the England under-21s international team, and it was his trademark finish as he drifted in from the right, manoeuvred in the tightest of spaces before curling the ball into the far side of the goal on his left foot in signature style as the young Lions ran out 4-2 winners over Portugal in a friendly.
And next up for the men's team now, Ben.
Well, Maddie, the men's team, they're back to Premier League action real soon, midweek, as they face off against Fulham, which, as we know, is full of ex-Arsenal players, and as the Gunners seek to maintain their position in second on the Premier League table.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again for joining us on Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Yeah, before we sign off, we want to express our gratitude for your continued support. If you haven't already, please follow, like, and subscribe so you don't miss us in the future. Remember, your love for the beautiful game is what fuels our passion.
And we would love for you to spread the word about Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Yes, please share our podcast with other Arsenal kids you know and help us to grow this amazing community together.
We hope to join you back on the pitch again soon.
Keep the spirit of the game alive, and until next time,
Goodbye.